Hello everyone, it is 2:30 and it's time for Quilt Talk Tuesday. My name is Tina Diller with Quilting Affection Designs. I'm the owner, designer, and I should say pattern designer, and I'm a certified instructor with Studio 180 Designs. Today we are going to be continuing to get ready for our Rainbow Serenade Quilt Along, which starts September 11th. Last week we discussed the Tucker Trimmer 1, and today we're going to be discussing the Studio 180 Design Corner Pop tool. As you can see, that's right on my desk. So, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to ask questions. You can ask them about the pattern, about the quilt along, the tools. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the question section. You can even just say hi and let me know that you have been there. So let's get started about talking about the Studio 180 Corner Pop tool. This tool is so much fun to play with, and it adds so much more interest. You can add so much interest to your blocks. So let me give you an example. You can take a normal Lemoyne star and you can add some corner pops to them to add a little more color and interest to your block, or you can even do it to a unit. So this quilt block here, this is from a Blockbuster pattern that Studio 180 Design has on their website, and right here in these units here, the square, we added some corner pops, colors to it. So that's what you can do with this ruler. You can also make these chevrons using this tool. Another way you can do it is adding it to some rectangles, just to add some corner pop to that also. So that's some ideas you can do with this ruler. So with this ruler, it allows you to do 22 size options. It can be from 1/3 of a finished corner to a 6-inch corner. You can even do it in 1/4 inch increments. 22 sizes, and there's whole, half, and 1/4 inch increments on here. Okay, so, and it replaces the old-fashioned a way of doing your corners for the folding corner method. Instead of you wasting a whole square to replace one corner, you're only using part of a rectangle now. You're saving a little fabric here and there. Also, with the old-fashioned way, you would never be able to line it up. It would be little off, or it'll be hanging down a little bit or hanging up a little bit. That's fine. That's not good when you want to do that. You want to be nice and accurate when you're doing your blocks. So we are going to replace this method with the corner pop tool. Let me show you how. Also, with this ruler, you can do you have fine lines all over it, which give you an accurate cut, and it comes with instructions, as with all of the Studio 180 Design rulers. Now, they are designed, when you open this up, you will have a whole step out section on how to work with the tool. Also, it takes you from a corner piece, whatever your size and any pattern you have. You can say that if you have a finish, if you were doing one of these and you wanted it at 2.5 finished size. That's what the pattern called for, which we're going to be working with today. And you're going to follow this chart all the way down in each of those steps as we go down. So you would cut away 2 inches. You would replace with a 3 3/4. This size is measured up a little bit so you can get an accurate trim down at the end, and also includes the seam allowance. And it also gives you the line to use for the cutting for your trim down. So, and then it walks you all the way through the steps. It even gives you a little help with where things are on the ruler. And also talks about the trim down lines. Also gives you ideas what you can do with this tool, and blocks you can do with this tool. So it does help in making sure that you understand your instructions. Make sure you don't lose these instructions. They're very, very handy. And maybe keep copies of them also. So let me remove this piece out of here. Let's talk about the tool. The tool has basically 3 sections. 2 if you wanted to count this side, and 1 on this side. This side is, you'll notice on here you have markings, and it also talks about the corner trim down. It tells you what it is on each of these sections. So this is the corner trim down section right here. So we'll be using this down at the last. And you have the cutaway corners. Now, this is broken up into 2 different increments. This side here is the 1/4 to 3/4 increments on this side. And this side here is the 1/2 to 1 inch increments, the wholes and the halves. So that's what your tool has on it for breakdown. So let me walk you through. We're going to take this basic unit here, this combination unit, and we're going to trim away. We want to do a 2.5 unpublished trim around, and we're going to replace it with a lavender color. And you'll be doing this in your pattern when we get busy, when we get started on our Rainbow Serenade Quilt Along. So this is kind of a sneak peek of what you'll be doing. So let's get started. So I'm going to move my tool away for a second here. And if you have any questions as I'm going through, please feel free to let me know. Also, and I'll be checking back and forth on my screen here. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim, like I said, we're going to trim away part of our lavender here, and we're going to add some, violet, and we're going to replace it with some lavender color. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our chart. We want to replace it with a 2.5 inch published piece. So we're going to scroll down, or we're going to go down 1 line, and it says to trim away 2 inches. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to move this up here real quick, and we're going to set this up. Now, when you lay your combination unit on the mat, if you're going to trim from your right-handed, you're going to trim from, make sure that your trim away side is facing the bottom left. If you're that's for your right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're going to make sure that it's on the opposite corner, and it's going to be on your right side. So let me just demonstrate this for you. We're going to find the 2 inch. We have a 2 inch line here. Let me move this out so you can see it a little bit better. We have a 2 inch line here, and we have a diagonal line here. And we're going to line them up on our piece right here. So we're going to take that 2-inch, we're going to line it on this bottom, and the side piece we're going to line up on this side. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you right-handed, as you can see, I've lined that up perfectly. If you're right-handed, you're going to go ahead and you're going to trim away. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to flip it around to the left-handed side, and I'm going to rotate my ruler also so it faces the opposite direction. So I'm lining it up, and I'm going to lay this down, and this is where I would do my trim. Now I've already done that trim, so let's go ahead and move this to the side and show you what that looks like. This is our trimmed unit. So we've completely removed this piece. So now we need to replace that piece with some replacement triangles. Now these replacement triangles are going to come from, like our chart said, a 3 1/4 replacement triangle square. What we're going to do is we're going to move this out of the way for a second. We're going to go ahead and we're going to line that up, and we're going to trim down the diagonal. And you're going to get 2 triangles. Basic. So now we're going to take this piece here and our replacement triangle, and we are going to line them up. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip your combination unit that's been trimmed over so it's facing the wrong side's facing you, and you're going to make sure your replacement triangle here is with the right side facing up, and you're going to lay this down. Now remember, you don't have to line this up perfectly on the edges, because you're going to be trimming down at the end. So then you're going to take a good 1/4 inch seam allowance and do your stitch there. So your unit will look like this when complete. And you're going to then press. Now with the pressing, what the wonders of this pressing with this unit is you can, instead of one way with pressing the old-fashioned folding method, is you would have a hard time pressing the opposite way if there was so much bulk, or you couldn't even press the seams open. And so now you can do that both with this method. So you can press away from this triangle, you can press towards that triangle, so your units look very nice on the back, or you can even press them open. You need to decide this before you trim, because it'll make a more accurate trim. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave it where it's facing to the, pressing towards the outside, and I'm going to rotate it around, and now we are going to do a trim. So now we need to find our trim down size, which is on our chart, and it says the corner trim down line is 2 inches. So you're going to, now if you're right-handed, you're going to place your unit with the corner that you want to trim down away, be on your left side up, and if you're left-handed, right-handed, it'll be to the top right hand, and to the left will be the opposite. So let me show you that for right-handed. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up that 2-inch line on your corner trim down line, and you're going to lay that down on the seam line. And then you're going to line up your edges here and here. And you'll notice on the ends here, you are going to line up also. This gives you a little more accurate, knowing that you are all squared up. So right-handed, you are going to go up and across. Now for left-handed, you're just going to rotate this around. I'll just pick it up and do it. And we're going to lay this down again. And I'm going to go ahead and trim it up so you can see how nice these units look when they're complete. It looks pretty good. Just a little bit adjustment there, just to make sure that I'm completely lined up. So now I'm going to take my rotary cutter here, and I'm going to go up and across. And look, we have a nice, clean looking combination unit with a little lavender pop to it. That is what the wonders of this tool is. Now, if you were to line this up with another unit, it would match up. So, and you would have an easier time sewing your units together. Now, one tip is to, on this unit, is to make sure that you cut the right amount away. I accidentally, when I was doing my test piece here for this demo, I cut away too much. And this is what happens when you cut away too much. You are going to have a little less on one side. You'll see this lined up pretty good on this side, but it should actually be hanging over just a slight, and you'll notice it doesn't waste that much fabric. So make sure you trim away the correct amount that the pattern asks you to, or the chart on the instructions. That is just a tip. Now, another thing you can do is to replace your end piece with half square triangle. So this is a half square triangle, just been cut in half, and you replace this. Replace it. You can replace that corner with that also. That is another way you could do it. There's several other ways you can do it. It's endless what you could do with this tool. I love this tool. I love playing with this tool. It's just fun to play with. Adding some color here and there to a unit is great. So that is basically it what I wanted to show you for this. Like I said, this is what we'll be making in our quilt along. We'll be making some of these. We're going to also be using half square triangles to make units out of this. We'll be replacing colors with them also. So we'll be doing that also with this Rainbow Serenade quilt along. So let me recap what's going to happen with the Rainbow Serenade quilt along for those of you just watching. The quilt along starts September 11th. We'll be going live every second and fourth Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Quilting Affection Designs Facebook page. They will be recorded so I can reuse them We'll be posting them if you miss an episode on my YouTube channel on Wednesdays, and they'll also be put in my blog posts on Thursdays. So you'll have many times to catch up on the quilt along. The best time is to catch us on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, right here on this time, if you have questions. I can still answer questions if you put them on the comment section at the blog post, or in the YouTube comment section also. So I'll be checking those out. I get notifications when those comments do come through. So go ahead and post those if you need to. Now, the only thing you need for this quilt along is the pattern, and you'll need the corner pop tool and the Tucker Trimmer 1 tool. I sell all of these on my website. If you have those tools, great. You're already almost ready to go. All you have to do is get the fabrics. I have a lady that's asking right now to make the quilt bigger. So I'm trying to figure out how much bigger she wants to do it and different things like that. So if you want to do that, you're going to have to kind of figure that on your own. I'll be willing to help, but not a whole bunch. I have tons of more patterns to work on and get ready to. So that's going to be fun. We'll be working with that. So next week I'm going to do a Studio 180 Design tip day. I'm going to do one tip, and I'm going to do that every month. We're going to do it, in between is the Studio 180 tips. So next week is tip day, so be sure to check back next week at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Quilting Affection Designs. I don't think we have any questions. No. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you have questions afterwards, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing you next week for our Studio 180 Design Tip Day. See you next week. Bye.